Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Geek. I am your host, Ren Geekness, and my co host, Zach Pope, will be here today. But as things happen, Zach cannot be here quite yet. I will let you know what is going on after we do a little bit of housekeeping in this show. If you're finding us, however you're finding us, whether it's here live on YouTube or you're watching the replay or you're listening to us on Spotify or wherever you get a podcast from, thank you so much for watching. If you're a regular viewer of the show, you know how things go here. But if not, if you're somehow new, thank you for finding us. Again, thank you for being here. We hope you enjoy the show. And the show works in basically three sections. The first section is where we'll go through our weekly ranking. That's when me and Zach, when he's here, go back on everything we watched through the past week and give you our ranking from the worst to the best. And we also highlight your weekly rankings in the live chat. After that, that's when we dive into the main topic. That's the topic on the thumbnail, the topic on the title. And we just discussed the latest piece of not necessarily news, at least not today, but the big topic of discussion in the film world. And finally, after that, we go into the third part, the best part, your favorite part, my favorite part, your questions that you leave in the community tab on my channel. There's a post there with a thumbnail for this episode saying for you to leave your questions, so feel free to go there and we'll do our best to get to as many questions as we can. Or if you want to guarantee your question is answered, consider going through I fucked that up. Consider going through the tip link in the description or use the super chat feature. Will not only highlight you on the screen but shout you out, and you will be actively supporting the channel as you ask great questions. All right, all the housekeeping out of the way, let me just explain real briefly why Zach's not here yet. You notice today we started the show about an hour earlier than we usually do. That's because today I start work at 5 p.m. Right now it's 2 p.m. over where I'm at. I need to leave my house around 1 hour 15 or so before work starts so I can get there in time and put on my uniform. And that's why we got to start an hour early today so we can finish the show by the time I need to leave the house for work. And things being the way they are, in Zach's area, it is 6 a.m. where he's at. I told him, I'm not going to make you wake up at 6 a.m. Wake up at 7 and just be here in that last half hour of the show. Next week, unfortunately, we cannot have a show again. And 2 weeks from now, we will see. Unfortunately, right now, that's just how things are. I don't like it. I know you don't like it. And I wish I could do more of the podcast every week. But let's just hang in there, guys. All right. With that out of the way, let's dive into my weekly ranking. And I did not watch too much this week. In fact, I did not watch many great things this week. I will talk a little bit about Secret Invasion 2, but I will not rank it here because I've seen the first two episodes. And on Monday, I'm going to an event to watch those first two episodes on a big screen. I don't know what's going to happen there. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, but I'm going to leave my proper review of the first two episodes, the spoiler-free review, for after their event. So expect it on Tuesday. I know I said I'll upload it yesterday, but in the meantime, that event came, and so that way I have a chance to watch both episodes twice and have a general experience. I'll just say, perhaps the best Marvel first episode we've ever had. And then perhaps the biggest fall down from episode 1 to episode 2. That's all I'll say for now about Secret Invasion. In regards to my weekly ranking, in last place, I'm going to have Reality. This is the HBO Sydney Sweeney starring movie about a real person that leaked documents about, I don't even remember. That's how much I care for the film. It's not very good. You feel like you're thrown into the story halfway through. There's not really much to the characters. There are not much to the resolution of it, properly speaking. I just thought it was meandering and like an empty exercise in giving this story a movie, but it doesn't feel like they took the most interesting or most compelling approach to it. In second place, I'm going to have Greatest Days. I don't know that this is out in the States. In fact, I don't think it's out in the States, but it's basically based on a play, and it's a story about these 5 girls that love this band. And weirdly, it's a fictional band, but all the songs are Take That songs. I don't know what's going on there, because if you have the rights for the Take That songs and Take That even cameo in the film, the band, why would you not just make the band in the movie Take That? It's strange. I don't know what happened there. There are also some of your decisions that you'll have musical numbers where it is this fictional band within the film singing these songs, and then you'll have the girls themselves, the characters, singing the songs, but there are all these musical numbers. And then other times it's them walking around the street and random people everywhere sing bits of the song, and it's not that really big musical number. So some of the approach is strange, it's off-putting, but at its core, it's this awesome movie about friendship and loyalty. And you guys know I'm a sucker for that. I'll always support a movie that it's about that. And if it does it well, this one doesn't do it brilliantly, but it does it well enough. It's a solid time. It's a fun time. It's very British. It's very quaint. It's very charming. So if you like Take That, if you like those kinds of sort of movies, go watch this one. But in first place, undoubtedly, one of my favorite movies of all time, and easily number one this week, I rewatched last Sunday. I rewatched Your Name. And it's just one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. It always impresses. It always makes me cry at a particular scene. And it's just beautiful. It's one of the greatest animated films of all time. Honestly, it might have surpassed the original Ghost in the Shell when it comes to the best anime movie of all time for me. So that's my weekly ranking. Let's start with your guys's. And the first one we have, it's from Eric Thorpe Reviews, good friend of the channel. Let me just close my letterbox. Weekly ranking, number 20, Super Mario Bros. Number 19, The Flash. The show, not the movie. Number 18, Black Lightning. Number 17, Supergirl. Number 16, Transformers. Number 15, Down the Shore. I don't think I've ever heard of it. Number 14, Batman Returns. Here's part 2. Number 13, The Little Mermaid. 12, Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox. Amazing. Still the best DC animated movie. Well, outside of Mask of the Phantasm. Number 11, Munich. Number 10, A History of Violence. Number 9, Batman 89. Number 8, The Sopranos. And there's a third part, apparently. Number 7, Barry. Number 6, Love and Death. I still need to go back to that one and continue it. Number 5, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Number 4, Justice League. Number 3, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and there's a part 4. Number 2, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and number 1, The Flash. I would have The Flash, the movie, ranked much lower, I gotta say, but I'm glad you enjoyed it that much. All right, after Eric, we have, that's Eric again, Nemesis Scott. Number 6, Battle Royale. Number 5, Halloween 2. Number 4, X-Men Dark Phoenix. Number 3, Jurassic World. Number 2, New Mutants. And number 1, Man of Steel. You goddamn right, that's number 1, my friend. Goddamn right. SPC Unleashed. Number 1, The Flash. Number 2, Pitch Perfect. Number 3, The Witcher. And you guys should watch the next season of The Witcher. I'm not going to say why, but you should watch the next season of The Witcher. Number 4, The Flash, also the show, not the movie. Number 5, The Bad Guys. Such an underrated movie from last year. That movie is so good. Nathan Madigan, 1 of 2. Number 10, Mars Needs Mums, which I've never seen, actually. Number 9, Marlowe. Number 8, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Number 7, Fantasia 2000. Number 6, Killer's Kiss, which I don't think I've ever heard of. Number 5, Bottle Rocket. Number 4, Last Flag Flying. Number 3, Le Samurai. Number 2, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And number 1, Paris, Texas. That's an underrated movie right there. Well, not underrated, but underseen. The people who've seen it love it. Luis Feliciano, weekly ranking, number 3, Better Call Saul, number 2, Across the Spider-Verse, and number 1, Jurassic Park, which celebrated its 30th anniversary this week. And, oh, that's it? That's it. All right, and that is it for your weekly rankings. All right, everyone, thank you so much for sharing. Let's dive into The Flash, shall we? I'm not going to discuss spoilers openly. I will say certain things a certain way where if you've seen the film, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you haven't, nothing's going to be spoiled for you. But The Flash, besides being a movie, and a movie that celebrates the entire history of the DC universe and DC canon and DC lore in movies and all that, it's a movie that brings to an end an era that we've been living in for the past 10 years. In fact, I think it was last week, not this past week, but the week before, Man of Steel, which started the DCU, celebrated its 10th anniversary. And now with The Flash, we bring that chapter to an end. We know Aquaman is coming, but it just feels like it should have come out before, because knowing all the context behind the scenes, knowing the plans James Gunn has, knowing James Gunn has just given an interview where he talks about Blue Beetle as the first DCU character, the DCU is done, and it ends with The Flash. And in a way, that feels fitting. Much like in the comics, much like in the animated movies, the Flash's big cataclysmic event that he causes brings to an end a continuity, or at least a certain line of continuity in one of the many multiverses. In others, it feels like instead of doing this big climatic finale to this universe, it's more so doing a bit of cleanup so the new universe can walk this path. And The Flash doesn't feel like it's celebrating everything that happened. It feels like it's cleaning up for who's coming to walk that path next. So it's conflicting when you look at it as the grand finale to this universe. I don't love The Flash. I like The Flash. I think it's a good movie. I think it's got immense flaws. Yes, the CGI is wonky. That is the least of the movie's flaws. With everything it has going for it, everything that it has going against it, the CG is something I personally can easily look past. Well, except the Ezra Miller, that one of them always looks rubbery. But the big set pieces look amazing. And I think the film has grand ideas, and a lot of those ideas it pulls off really well. Doesn't pull off all of its ideas really well. In fact, I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, but on Monday or Tuesday, the movie will have been out over the weekend. Whoever wants to see it will have seen it. I have a video essay coming out on The Flash. I haven't done a video essay since kind of Thor Love and Thunder. I did a semi-video essay, but really, I haven't done a video essay since Eternals. I have a video essay coming for The Flash about something that I think could have made the movie even better with what it has going on in its narrative, in its themes, and given the context of what it is, a big climatic ending to the continuity of the DCU, where Barry screws up the timeline so much, he goes back to where it all started, technically speaking, to Zod invading the Earth looking for Kal-El. So I have interesting things to say, and I think you guys are going to really like it, even if you don't agree. I think you guys are going to really like where I have cooked up for this one. But when it comes to The Flash, bringing everything to an end, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but as much as Flashpoint as this is, and Flashpoint Paradox is by far the superior version of this story when it comes to movie form. Obviously, read the comic. That's the best version of this story. But the animated movie Flashpoint Paradox is better than this Flash live-action movie in every way. And as much as it is the Flashpoint story, you get to the third act, and again, I'm not going to spoil anything. There's a lot of Crisis on Infinite Earths there, which is really weird considering the plans James Gunn has said he has bubbling for the DCU. And so maybe what this can mean is that we say see you in a while to the DCU, not necessarily goodbye. to the DCU entirely. Maybe some remnants across the multiverse are left and we can cross paths maybe in the future. I think there's some definite things about the ending of this movie that it lets us know going forward, but I know you guys have questions about that in the community tab, so I will leave that for that. This topic obviously would take a lot more time if Zach was here for us to bounce back and forth, but he's not, unfortunately, which leaves us more time for your questions, which is great. I will say this. Looking at the continuity of the DCEU, The Flash goes out on a good note. I don't think it goes out on a whimper. I don't think it goes out on a high note. To this day, and now I can officially say it because it's over, the DCU peaked when it started. Man of Steel is still the best movie by far in the DCU. And I think the DCU had quite a few good offerings. The Suicide Squad, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Batman v Superman, the original Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Black Adam. Those are all strong outings from the DCU. Only one of them is absolutely flawless, but all of those strong outings, in my opinion. So I think the more time passes, and even still, as the DCU really gets started, I think a lot of people are going to go look back on the DCU, acknowledging all its flaws, really acknowledging that they never really found their identity, really, because Warner Brothers never really committed to allowing them to find their identity. But I think a lot of people are going to look back on this continuity overall favorably, while acknowledging the faults that it had and the absolute failures, like Suicide Squad, Shazam Fury of the Gods, that it had along the way. All right, everyone. So with that out of the way, let's go into your questions on the community tab. And let us start with Lady Aaron. With movies such as The Flash and Guardians 3 not having as high of critic scores as audience scores, what's the score on Guardians? Guardians Volume 3, Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it's not as high, but it's 82 to 94. So, do you think people are starting to become more critical of superhero movies these days? No. It's Guardians of the Galaxy has an 84%. That's awesome. That's, generally speaking, where the MCU movies, for the most part, a few years ago, would all like stick around. Low 80s at its worst in general. Low 80s would be the bottom of the MCU. So if you want to talk critically, I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy is like a good one to speak of. Because if we're talking superhero movies, are they more critical? Look at Across the Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse, Rotten Tomatoes. How much does that have in critics? 96. It has a higher critic rating than an audience rating. The audience rating is 95. So no, not at all. I think it happens like with every movie. Some are fantastic, some are just good, and some not so much. And I may disagree, and you may disagree, and that's all right. But I don't think, especially those two examples, and if you add Spider-Verse in there, I don't think those are the two to showcase that they are more critical. I think they've always been critical one way or the other. And these days we just have a lot more voices being validated by Rotten Tomatoes. All right. Lady Aaron, what are your thoughts on the final seasons and series finales of these shows, Succession, Barry, and Ted Lasso? I don't watch Ted Lasso. Barry was good. I don't think Barry ended as great as the entire series was, but I think it was good. I think this last season should have been 2 seasons. I think we could have had Barry season 5. And if you've seen the season, you know what I'm talking about. That midpoint of the season where he takes this big chance. And at the time, I didn't mind it. But I was like, oh, where are we going with this? Everything after that, I felt could have used room to breathe. And so he could have done everything after that twist in an entire season all to itself. Succession. Succession is good. I've seen the entirety of Succession. I started watching and binged and caught up so I could watch the finale. And Succession is good. It will never, never be in my list of greatest shows ever made because I don't give a shit about any of the characters. If characters died, I wouldn't care. They are highly entertaining to watch. They're extremely funny and awkward and have all these diverse personalities that are interesting to watch. But I'm not compelled by anything or anyone in this show. When, spoilers, when Logan Roy dies, I wasn't shocked because, oh my God, I don't want him to die. He's the main character. I love him so. No, I was shocked because, oh, you're killing what is essentially the main character so early in the final season because eventually you expect him to die. That's like imbued in the narrative. But I expect him to die in episode 8, episode 9, maybe the finale itself. But I don't give a shit about Logan Roy. And you kill him off camera? Like you just have characters having a conversation and suddenly someone calls them and you hear that Logan Roy is dying and he's dying off camera. Okay. So yeah, good show, greatest of all time, not even close. Lady Aaron, thoughts on the rumor that Woody and Buzz will return for Toy Story 5? I've not heard this rumor, but my reaction, if it's true, like that the rumor is out there, is duh? Like, how else are you going to do a Toy Story 5 if without them? That would be a recipe for disaster. So I think it just makes sense. I don't even know how this is a rumor and it's not immediately okay, they're making Toy Story 5, so Woody and Buzz are returning. Like, you don't have one without the other. So yeah. Lady Aaron, what are some great movies that start with the first letter of your name? I did this on Twitter. I saw someone doing it and I went to Google movies starting with R, and that's how I got a list and had time to look it over. So I can't do it off the top of my head. I put Ratatouille, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Rocky, and I don't even remember the fourth one, but it's on Twitter. I put it on Twitter yesterday. So there you go. If you have seen any episode from the new season of Black Mirror, what are your thoughts on the season so far? I've watched 2 episodes and I'm 12 minutes away from finishing the third one, which I couldn't finish because we had the show. I really liked the first episode, and then the ending felt cowardly. The entire first episode, what it's really saying, it's ballsy as fuck when you look at it. And there's actual layers to it. What it's saying, how he's saying it, the way it is saying it, really good. And then by the time you see like certain twists and turns and the story gets to its resolution, the resolution felt cowardly. It felt like it backed away from actually pushing and twisting a knife into a wound. But overall, I liked it. The second episode, really good. I overall gave him the same grade because one feels really inventive, but by the end, it kind of backs off of that. And then the second one is more, there's a formula to the genre. There's a clear commentary of what it's trying to say, but it does it so well. It doesn't do like anything mind-blowing that you've never seen before, but what it does in its genre, in its conventions, does it so well. And I'm liking this third episode. I'm not loving it, but I can't accurately comment on it until I finished it. So, yeah. Thoughts on the new Mission Impossible movie only getting 1 week in IMAX theaters while Oppenheimer gets 3 weeks in IMAX. Get your asses out to see Mission Impossible as fast as you can, everyone. You only got 1 week to see it in IMAX. I know that's how I want to watch it. I know that's how I will want to consume it as much as possible. So those are my thoughts. I mean, Nolan got a good deal out of it. Tom Cruise and Paramount didn't. So Get your asses out to see Ethan Hunt do incredible stunts as fast as you can. Otherwise, you won't be able to. Black Mirror, IMAX. All right, Lady Aaron, if you create a Mount Rushmore of movie directors, who would you put on there and why? You got to go Spielberg. I got to go Nolan. You got to have the Lumiere brothers there because they invented the whole damn thing. I would argue for a Sidney Lumet in there. I mean, it's hard not to say Billy Wilder or William Wyler even. It's tough. It's tough because look, as an art form, cinema is the youngest, the most baby of the art forms. So it's gonna get so much better, even when we're not around anymore. So it's tough for me. I'll leave the last spot open ended. Thoughts on Barbie being on early tracking to win box office at War Against Oppenheimer next month? What factors do you think play a role into Barbie doing well at the box office? The stars, the trailers, the marketing. It's a known name, so families are going to go want to watch Barbie over watching Oppenheimer. I think there's a familiar name to it, like Barbie. Everyone knows Barbie for 5 generations at least. Everyone knows Barbie. So not only mom, dad, and the kids, let's say 2 kids, grandma also knows Barbie. When grandma was a kid, that's when Barbie came out. So grandma will also want to watch it. So yeah. Lady Aaron, with each new look and picture that we get of the Barbie movie, my anticipation for this movie just grows and grows as we're almost 1 month away from the release. What are you guys hoping for the most when it comes to the movie? That it's good. That's all I'm hoping for. I hope it's good. I don't have any specific hopes because all I saw was the teaser. Margot Robbie stars in it. Ryan Gosling stars in it. My 2 favorite working actors. Greta Gerwig, a fantastic director, is directing it. She wrote it with Noah Baumbach, one of my favorite writers. So I just hope it's good. That's all. And if not good, great. And if not great, fantastic. And if not fantastic, an all-timer. That's all I can hope for. Lady Aaron, there was a new Ed Sheeran song that got released after the finale of Ted Lasso called "The Beautiful Game." Have you heard this song? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? I haven't heard it. I did not know it was a thing until just now, so I can't have thoughts. Lady Aaron, if you created around Mount Rushmore film scores, what would you put on there and why? It's too tough. This is one of those questions I have to prepare for it. Let me think about what are my 4 film scores of all time. Listen through them because you could easily fill that Mount Rushmore with John Williams scores. You could easily fit that around Mount Rushmore with Hans Zimmer scores. But I have to listen to them and prepare and really judge them like against one another with time, with preparation. If you go back in time and attend some world premiere red carpets that you never got to go to or to witness, what are some that you would most likely want to attend and why? Well, even if I go back in time, I would probably not have the money and I will still live where I lived before and not be able to attend it. But hypotheticals, if I would just go back in time and have all these opportunities, I definitely want to go to Star Wars. I definitely want to go to Star Wars The Force Awakens. I want to go to the Avengers, the first Avengers, and Avengers Endgame. That's my favorite movie of all time. I got to go to that one. So yeah. There we go. Lady Aaron, what are some movie posters that you love in which you actually have a physical copy of hanging around in your room? In this one, none. Back home, I have the Avengers Endgame poster. You see it all the time when I'm back home and I record reviews from there. I have the Avengers Endgame poster. I think I have an Infinity War. I have a poster for the first John Wick. I have a poster for Jungle Cruise. And not that Jungle Cruise is one of my favorite movies of all time. I really like Jungle Cruise. Jungle Cruise is really good. If you guys haven't seen Jungle Cruise, go watch it. But the poster is like classically drawn, Drew Struzan style. So yeah, those are a few that I know. I have a Thor Ragnarok poster, and I'm not the biggest fan of Ragnarok, but the poster goes fucking hard. So yeah. Lady Aaron, thoughts on the Flash's cinema score if you have seen it? I've not, and I don't really care for cinema score. It doesn't really tell me much. So yeah. Lady Aaron, what are some movies that you would consider to be your personal comfort movies? I feel like I answer this one all the time, but easily The Lion King, About Time, Your Name, Treasure Planet, The Princess Bride. And I should have at least one more, I think. But I'm blanking on what it would be. La La Land. La La Land is definitely a comfort movie for me. I'm looking at my Blu-rays to see. Yeah, and that's it. Really, it'd be much easier if I was back home and I have so many more Blu-rays and steelbooks. But yeah, that's it. All right. Lady Aaron, thoughts on the controversial show Velma getting renewed for a second season? I don't watch Velma, so I have no thoughts. I don't have thoughts against it. I don't have thoughts in favor of it. Lady Aaron, have you guys managed to watch The Idol yet? And if you have thoughts on it so far, if you have seen it, is it as bad as everyone says it is? I watched the first episode. It's bad. It's not that spectacular bad, like, oh my god, this is mind-blowing, that it's laughable at every single line of dialogue and every performance and everything that the show is tackling. No, it's not that. Not in the first episode, at least. I'm yet to see the second episode. The first episode is bad, but it's not particularly like disastrous. It's not this train wreck, at least not yet. Maybe it's walking towards that, but right now I don't think it's oh my god, like you have to see this just to believe how bad it is. It's not that. Not for me. I've seen much worse television. I've seen much worse television this year. So yeah. Andrew Seif, good friend of the show. Do you think it was a mistake from Disney to release Elemental opposite The Flash, since both movies target a family audience? Wouldn't have been smarter for it to release next week, since the biggest movie coming out is No Hard Feelings, a rated R comedy. So this one is trickier compared to, let's say, if you had Elemental going up against Guardians of the Galaxy and another superhero movie, or let's even say Black Adam, so it's not Disney against Disney. And it's tricky because The Flash is a very specific situation. On one hand, I agree. They're both family movies targeting the same demographic. And you can get to a point in that situation where it's so similar that so much of that target demographic goes to see The Flash that the rest of the target demographic can't go because it's sold out. So they will go see Elemental and they'll leave Flash for later. I don't think that's the case with either The Flash or Elemental. So it's not a case of people are going in droves to The Flash. It's not a case of people are going in droves to Elemental. By the way, we don't get Elemental until July. So please don't talk about Elemental. Don't ask about Elemental and don't spoil Elemental because I will not have seen it. I don't want spoilers and I will not have seen it. So I can't answer your questions about Elemental. But on one hand, yes, they're so similar. They kind of can cannibalize each other. On the other, when you look at the specifics of The Flash, it's a movie that's been 10 years in the making, with directors and writers going in and out and in and out and in and out. And then you have a very problematic star that is not at all family appealing. So those could be a few factors that contribute to Disney going, no, we can risk throwing Elemental in against The Flash. And then wouldn't have been smarter next week to do No Hard Feelings? Yes, but the week after, you have Indiana Jones. You don't want to be the guy that throws and sure, Indiana Jones is tracking underwhelmingly so, which is shocking to me. But let's say the tracking wasn't out yet. Everyone is expecting Indiana Jones to blow away the box office. When a movie like that is coming out, you don't want to be in the way a week before or a week after. You always want like 2 weeks of buffering. You also want 2 weeks of buffering when it's the same company putting out the movie. You don't want your two movies to cannibalize each other. So Disney does not want Elemental to cannibalize Indiana Jones or Indiana Jones to cannibalize Elemental. It's just a season that is very busy. 2023 is like the first time since the pandemic that we're getting a ton of the things that had to be in backup because of the pandemic. And so everything is starting to come out now. This is the busiest summer season for movies we've had since 2019. Like, this is the normal. And it's the normal that we've forgotten, that we've fallen out of being used to. But this is how things used to be. So I think because of the specifics of The Flash, it's a question that, yes, you're absolutely right. They target the same demographic. On the other, you look at everything going against The Flash, it might have looked worth it for Disney, Pixar to risk putting it out at the same time. And then you want to leave that buffer week for Indiana Jones to get as much as it can, for Elemental to do as much as it can before Indiana Jones. So it's a really good question because there's a lot of nuance that at first doesn't seem like it's there. Andrew Seif, do you think a big part of why Super Mario Bros. Made $1 billion is because it didn't have to compete with any blockbusters the month of April? A lot of people predicted Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Fast X, Little Mermaid would hit $1 billion, but it doesn't look like any of them will. Do you think any of them would have made it if they had more room to breathe instead of coming out right after each other? I think there's more reasons, but I think one of the big reasons is definitely that Super Mario Brothers didn't have a lot to compete against. Another big contributor is it's Super Mario. Like we talked about it with Barbie, it's generational. Grandpa at this point played Mario. Dad at this point played Mario. Mom played Mario. The kids are playing Mario. So, and it's a world brand. That's what a lot of other brands aren't necessarily. Mario is for boys and girls. Barbie is just for girls, but as you can see, men are very excited for it. But Mario is for everyone of all ages. It doesn't distinguish between boys and girls. Then, once the trailer started coming out, it looks like the games. It looks exactly like the games. So grandpa, dad, mom, the kids, all of them recognized them, and they went to the movies in droves to check this movie out. And you didn't have a lot of competition. And you also got, as much as we may have issues with Illumination, because they are kids' movies and they are very appealing to kids, they always do great with kids. Not all of their movies are great. In fact, I would argue most of their movies are bad. But with kids, they always do great. And so they've created this relationship with families that an Illumination movie is coming out. My kid always has a good time with the Illumination movies, and I always have a good time because my kid is having a good time. So let's go watch an Illumination movie. And on top of that, it's a Super Mario Brothers movie. I know Super Mario Brothers. I got my kid into Super Mario Brothers. He already loves Super Mario Brothers. He loves Illumination. Like, it strikes that vote of confidence with families. And then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Fast X, Little Mermaid. Guardians of the Galaxy and Little Mermaid, I will talk later. Fast X, I don't know that I predicted that it would have hit $1 million. I might have. I'm not saying I didn't. Will certainly laugh at me when it comes to The Little Mermaid. Fast X, it tainted a lot of audiences with number 9. Hell, a lot of people were already tainted with number 8. I really like number 8, but a lot of people were tainted with number 8. Then number 9 comes out and it's a disaster. And then you got this thing with Universal where not even a month later they're going to put it on digital. And they announce it like the week after the movie comes out. So the movie, in the US at least, I think it did really well internationally. But in the US, it wasn't a disaster. Honestly, Fast X was not a disaster opening weekend, but it did well. And then the week after, you announced that in 3 weeks, it's coming to VOD. So the people that didn't go opening weekend, oh, it's coming. I can watch it at home. I can wait. They're damaging their movies. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is interesting because it got off to a great start and it continued to have legs. It kind of won a lot of people over that were so dismissive of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and it won them back over. And then The Little Mermaid. There are specific international territories where the market is openly racist about this movie. So obviously it's going to struggle there. But I really thought it was going to hit $1 billion. Me and Zach, when you guys asked us either late last year, early this year, like, what are the movies that are going to hit $1 billion? Me and Zach were like, oh, it's The Little Mermaid. It's going to be the highest grossing movie of the year. Not so much anymore. And it's strange because it's doing well in the States, and a lot of people that are dismissive of the Disney live action remakes really like this one. It's better than the original, by the way, if you ask me. But it is. This is the one that's the most surprising for me so far. It's The Little Mermaid. How underwhelming it is doing. It's not going to lose money. It's going to break even at least. I think Guardians of the Galaxy will not hit $1 billion, but it will be a success. It will be a box office hit. Little Mermaid? I don't think it's a box office hit. I think it breaks even, which is fair enough, but it's definitely underwhelming. Demonisian Scott, why is it every time nowadays if something doesn't reach $1 billion, it's a failure from what people think? Most people don't think that. Most people don't think that. There's a very loud minority of people that have for some reason the goal of seeing something fail. But even to that point, they don't realize when something actually is failing. Guardians of the Galaxy, it's a hit. Little Mermaid, it's underwhelming, but it still has time to be not successful, but to break even. Fast X, it's on shaky ground. You know, it is a failure. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. That is a failure. And then when that failed, you didn't see any of those people going like, this is a failure. No, you didn't see them. Well, I like Black Adam. Just so you know, I'm not picking on Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I like Black Adam. Black Adam was a failure. And people, nothing. So it's these people that have a point to prove and they don't like when their point is not proven. So they kind of force it out. Okay, here we go. Nathan Madigan. Between Little Mermaid, The Flash, and the upcoming Dial of Destiny, the dialogue around them seems more concerned with cultural war drama, behind the scenes details, and the critic versus audience divide, rather than the quality of the movies themselves. What will it take to redirect online film discussion? It's for online film discussers to be focused on the movies themselves. I saw a lot of Flash reviews being more about Ezra Miller than the movie itself. And you guys know, anyone who's watching this show, who has watched this show for any period of time, you know better than anyone. I condemn what Ezra Miller has done. I've called him out for it. I've called WB out for it. I do not like it, and I address it in my review. You guys saw my review. I address in my review. But my review is not about that. My review is about the movie. There's important context to bring to a review when you talk about the Ezra Miller thing, but the review proper is not about what he did, the crimes he committed, the crimes he's continued to commit over the past 3 years since 2020. And the Little Mermaid, you know what's going on with the Little Mermaid. You know exactly the intentions people have. They have their minds made up. They have these checkpoints that they need to cross out. And people have forgotten what film discussion, film criticism is truly about. There is no nuance anymore. You want to be loud and loud and loud. You want people to pay attention to you and the points you're trying to make. So people these days, a lot of people, they don't try to have a proper opinion. They don't try to have nuance. They don't try, which is the most important thing, they don't try to engage with the art. They want to have their voices heard. No, look at me, look at me. That's what a lot of people want. And so they diminish not only the art of what they're trying to discuss, they diminish the art of film criticism, which is an art in and of itself. And they diminish the value of the discussion. It's not about the art itself anymore. It's about them and what the art owes to them. Art doesn't owe you anything. Art doesn't have to engage with you. Art doesn't have to do anything. Art just is. You're the one that has to engage with the work. You're the one that has to look at it the way it's presented to you and judge it with your experiences, with your opinions. But it's not about the points you're trying to make. It's about what you watched. How did you feel watching it? What did it bring to you as a story, as a narrative, as a piece of art? And a lot of people, as much as they try to pretend that they're into film criticism, a lot of people are not interested in that. There was a guy, I don't remember his name. I wouldn't want to call this person out, but I don't even remember the person's name. And throughout the entire week, he took L after L after L on Twitter. First, he shared a screenshot of The Flash on Monday. That's right, Monday. The movie came out in the States yesterday. In the UK, it came out on Wednesday. This person shared the screenshot of a pivotal moment in the movie, of a very spoilery moment in the movie, on Monday. Then on Wednesday, this person saw the 2 episodes of Secret Invasion and decided to tweet about it. And it really got to me that this person's main criticism, and anyone is free to like whatever you like, not like whenever you like. This person wasn't into Secret Invasion, but the main focus of their criticism, of their issues with the show, was how the original work, the original comic, is about not trusting anyone because you got all the A-listers, because you got Cap, you got Thor, you got Iron Man, you got all the Marvel characters. And so this show is not interesting because it doesn't have it only has D-listers. My issue with that is basically this tweet embodies everything that I've been telling you guys while answering this great question. That try to engage with the material. This person was entirely judging a piece of work based on the intentions and valors and thematics of the original work. This isn't the original work. This is an adaptation that is doing something not 100% different, but 85% different. So don't judge a piece of work on the parameters and intentions of another piece of work. And then this person, like, again, just for clicks, said, The Flash is the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. Right with Wonder Woman 1984. Suicide Squad exists, man. Morbius exists. The 2 Venom movies exist. Shazam! Fury of the Gods came out months ago, this year. So I'm actually glad this person took all those L's, because it's a great reflection on what this question is about. Thank you for asking, Nathan. I hope my answer was good. That's how I feel. That's what I see every day, being on Twitter, being on here. And there are still a lot of good people, believe me. There's still a lot of good people doing good work when it comes to film criticism and film discussion. And I hope that you guys consider me one of them. Nathan Madigan also asked, thoughts on the trailer for Yorgos Lanthimos' Poor Things. I only saw the teaser. I know the official trailer came out this week. I refuse to see it. I don't want to see it. I want to know as little as possible. I'm crossing my fingers it goes to Venice. I'm crossing my fingers that I go to Venice at this point, but Andrew Seif, do you guys have any plans to see Oppenheimer and Barbie opening weekend? For me, I'm going to see it. I'm going to go on the Saturday with my fiance to see Oppenheimer first, then have lunch and see Barbie afterwards. That's going to be a cool double feature. Um, I don't know because sometimes I work on weekends and I will only know like a week and a half before. So it's tough to say if I will go on opening weekend. I will hopefully get press screenings for both, and so I'll be able to see both before opening weekend so I can give you guys a review. But if not, I will definitely try to make it a double feature as well. I cannot wait to have these two out in the cinemas at the same time. Even if I wasn't going to see it, like just knowing I can walk into a cinema and they're going to be playing Oppenheimer and Barbie, and I can go watch either one. It's my choice. It's a beautiful world we live in, my friends. Nathan Madigan. Last week, it was discovered that a censored version of The French Connection was streaming on the Criterion channel with a clunky edit that removed offensive language used by Gene Hackman's character, with this resulting in physical copies being scooped up and price gouged by third-party sellers. How important is physical media in preventing art? Extremely important. That's what I always say when you guys ask me about physical media. It's why if I own something, I can touch it. It's mine. And anyone else only touches it if I let it. You want to see this movie? You want to see my copy of it? I don't lend it to anyone. You want to watch it? Come over to my place. Let's watch it. It's a great movie. Preserving art is important because that physical version you have of, let's say, The French Connection. I believe I have The French Connection back home. Let's say French Connection. Oh, they change it? I have it. Remains unchanged, untouchable. It's kind of the same reasoning behind remakes. Like if a new remake comes out, oh, it's awful. It's ruined the original. No, it doesn't. Original is right here, untouched. Remains the same as it always was. Physical media is the same. If a new version is put onto streaming where someone else controls where you watch the movie and how you watch the movie, physical media, right here. I've always had it. It's remained untouched. And it's preserving what was and how it was always meant to be with its flaws. That's why I have no issue like on Disney Plus. If you go watch an older Disney movie, you have a disclaimer. Hey, this reflects sensibilities and ways of seeing the world of another time that now we realize we're wrong. That's perfectly fine. You realize that it changes the movie in itself, changes nothing. I think we would all be fantastic if disclaimers were the only addition or change done to art. And physical media is a big part of preserving art as we know it and as we want it, and as it was intended by the original filmmakers, by the original creator. So that's why I think physical media is extremely important. It's essential to preserving art. Not preventing art. I was about to say preventing art. It's not preventing art. We don't want to prevent art. Andrew Seif, I noticed how we have heard very little about Luca Guadagnino's new tennis movie Challenger, starring Zendaya, Mike Feist, and Josh O'Connor. Haven't even seen a trailer yet, and it comes out in September. Should we be nervous for it? I don't think so. I know for a fact they just started promoting it because on the 1st of July, I'm going to see Brokeback Mountain with Mike Feist and Lucas Hedges that is playing here in London. And this past week, which was where I was supposed to go see it originally, Josh O'Connor and Zendaya were over here watching the play as well. So I completely missed them. But it's going to the Venice Film Festival. So it's going to do a festival run. So it feels early for it to have trailers out. It's not exactly the same, but Bones and All last year came out in November. So again, not exactly the same, but it didn't really kickstart a marketing campaign until after the Venice Film Festival. If you go watch my review for Bones and All, there's very, very little video clips there that I use in my review because there was only a 30-second teaser for it. And like 5 seconds of that 30-second teaser were like words like in September, a romance, broken apart, like those things that you see in trailers. So I could use very, very little video clips for my review. And so it was very hard. So that's a funny story. But when it comes to this one, yeah, it's coming out this September. Venice Film Festival, Telluride. Those are right before it. I don't know if it's going to play in Telluride, but it's going to do the festival run. And after that, that's when you want to start kicking the marketing up. All right. Did Andrew Seif. Eric Thorpe reviews. I'm not sure if I've asked this before, but how do you feel with annoying audience members in movie theaters? I've tried asking them to stop talking, and at the second time I saw The Flash, I straight up told people to shut up. But either way, they don't seem to listen to me. I've luckily never had to deal with like awful people. It's been a long time since I had, but when I did, I just went to talk to one of the staff members and said, "Hey, those right there, they're talking, they're distracting. I'm not getting my money's worth. Are you going to do something about it, or can I get my money back?" But even though I haven't had horrible experiences, I know of someone who has. It's the co-host, Zach Pope. He is here.
Hey, I'm here. Hey, man, how are you guys doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. So we're talking about shitty people who talk in movies.
Shitty people in movies.
Yeah, my Annabelle creation, man. That's like the worst. There's a video up on my channel of me venting.
It's always horror movies.
It is. I think that's where I've dealt with it mostly is horror films. I think there's been a couple times where I've seen, like, I'm trying to think, like, I remember Jurassic World, the second one, Fallen Kingdom. It was I don't like in where you were at in London and stuff. When you do press screenings, are there sometimes like public, like where people won tickets to go, and then there's like a press section, or is it usually just press? Because out here, it's usually a mix.
Sometimes there are public, but around 50% of those times when there are public, the public is also in another theater entirely.
So out here, how they do it is they get like the biggest theater at whatever theater it is, and then it's like all the middle seats at the top are all press, and then the rest are all public.
Okay.
So usually those public people, they get kicked out because there's like security, but like it's just funny to me. Like Jurassic, some guy took his phone out, full bright screen, recording, just record like for whatever purposes.
No way.
Yeah, and I'm like, they literally said 40 minutes ago that you can't. Like, were you just in the bathroom when they said this? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of things that I've seen like that, but I feel like most people after COVID, weirdly enough, don't talk a lot during movies. I think I've had more.
Okay.
Like, I think the last time it was really bad was actually when me and Cynthia went and saw Fast X. So when I bought the tickets, I bought them right in the middle. But there was no one else that bought it. A whole family decided to buy that whole row, and they walked in 15 minutes after the film started. And Cynthia hadn't seen the movie yet. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I wish they would have came earlier because I would have just moved my seat. Like, I would have been like, oh, you guys are a whole family? Like, I'll just sit at the edge. Like, if you guys, like, that doesn't matter to me. But the lady who sat next to us smelled a perfume, like heavy perfume. So much, dude. And then they're like passing food with one another. That was annoying. But like, whatever.
All right. All right. Timothy Scott, which films this month should have waited a little longer for release? The Flash to finish the VFX. I would argue Elemental a bit, but I am getting Elemental in July only, so it's delayed here. Yeah, those are the two for me. Zach?
What was the question? I couldn't really hear it, so I just guessed. What
movies this month should have waited a little longer for release?
Transformers. I think Transformers should have been pushed a little bit.
sure.
Just because I think it's not like it's doing bad, but it's also, and it's not like it needed like more work on the visual effect. It just, there's too much coming out. And honestly, at this point,
But it also tarnished the brand, so I don't know if the a little longer would have helped
yeah,
any of its box office.
as well as what's coming out, Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible should have come out in
Yeah.
August or September because
Okay.
like it, what's dumb to me is like you guys knew Oppenheimer was around this time. Like
Mhm.
it wasn't we've all known that an IMAX deal was with Oppenheimer. I will tell you though this. If Oppenheimer doesn't get like that repeat viewing that the studio is helping, I'm sure IMAX is hoping, I guarantee you they will break that deal with Christopher Nolan, which I'm sure maybe there's some legality to it, but
Yeah.
I know that there's been deals with that before. And when the movie's not doing great, IMAX can pull it or start giving different screens to different things. And they'll keep it in there. Like, oh, okay, we'll have 3 showings in IMAX, but the rest will be Mission Impossible.
Mhm.
Because reality is, I think the general going audience is going to go see Mission Impossible more in IMAX. than
100%.
Oppenheimer.
100%.
And
But I don't
I
know.
love,
We've been so wrong. We've been so wrong, dude. We called Little Mermaid to hit $1 billion fast, and
didn't we say Indy was going to hit $1 billion too when we did our show?
yes,
And that's not.
yes, we did.
I mean, it's not going to hit $1 billion.
But Little Mermaid was the one where like we were saying like this movie, that movie, that movie, and then we were like, oh shit, it's Little Mermaid. Of course, the Little Mermaid is gonna be the highest grossing movie of the year, and well,
Yeah.
it isn't. All right. Arathor reviews. What do you think the Flash's ending means for the future DCEU? So no spoilers. But Zach and I have now seen the movie. I've seen it twice. How many times have you seen it? Only the once?
I only saw it once. I was going to go again Monday,
Okay.
but I didn't.
Okay. So without any spoilers, what does the Flash ending mean for the future DCU? Nothing. It means that it's completely separate, and that's it. That's everything it confirms. That's everything it says, and it says it very clearly. I don't know if you want to add anything without stating the ending of the Flash.
It's open-ended. If they ever want to come back,
okay.
they can. That's the way I would view it.
Okay. Eric Thorpe also asks, why do you think there seems to be such a big divide in the early reactions to The Flash to general audiences? I love it, but will admit I was hoping I'd love it even more. Honestly, I think people were caught in the hype. I think early reactions were because everyone was doubting this movie. Everyone was doubting this movie was even real at points. And everything going on behind the scenes, it just caught people off guard. So I think a lot of people, when it comes to the early reactions, were caught in, oh, this movie is actually good. And so for them, the movie was fan-fucking-tastic. I genuinely think, like, one of the early reactions, let's face it, was James Gunn. For me, I think he genuinely believes what he says. I don't think James Gunn is lying. I think he gives us his honest opinion. Do I agree with his honest opinion? Not at all. I think he's cooked in the head a bit, but hey, it's what he thinks. I respect it. I just don't agree.
So,
what about you, Zach?
I mean, I love the movie. It's not perfect. It's kind of messy at times. And I would but like when I walked out of it, I'm like, I can get why someone wouldn't love this. I can get why someone, like, it's not one of those movies where like, I don't like Across the Spider-Verse. I've met someone who thought it was just fine. And I'm like, I don't understand you like whatsoever. You? But like to put in perspective, like Cynthia's a massive DC fan. Like that's what she is. She preferred the Flash over any comic book film we've seen in the last like probably 6-7 months. But that's only because she's a massive DC fan. That's her bread and butter. Okay. So like she knows there's issues. She knows it. I think the hype, because here's the thing, like it had to be hyped. Like Warner Brothers had to hype this film up. They were hoping for this to be their big thing. And I'll tell you right now, Aquaman is not gonna do good. I think a majority of the general going audience is just over DC at this point, just wants the reboot. And I will also tell you, do we know if Waller is filming this year?
I don't. I don't know.
If it is not, I don't think it gets filmed. I don't think they make it.
Oh, you think it's canceled?
I think it's canceled, or sadly it's recasted, because
Oh,
I
okay.
think there might be that internal discussion of, okay, hard reboot. I guarantee they're starting to talk about that, because this film was projected to do a lot better. And when I talk to people at my
It
job,
was hoped to do a lot better.
but like, it's doing Shazam stuff, and plus the cinema score is not good. Cinema score is really bad.
Oh, okay.
So that's a big
All
part of
right.
it all.
Divide. All right, Eric Thorpe. Did the Flash win you over at all on the possibility of Ezra continuing the role? Nope, not at all. That ending, it tells me this is not the DCU. This is something else entirely. Zach?
Yep, I agree. I
All right.
1000% agree. Like, that was probably the biggest piece of it all.
Yeah. And they say it without saying it. All right, Eric Thorpe. Without going into spoilers, did you feel satisfied with Michael Keaton's return to Batman the way we did with the Spider-Man in No Way Home? For me, absolutely not. Not even close. But I will tell you, that is because I have no nostalgia for Michael Keaton as Batman. It was cool to see him because I know he's been a Batman before. I've seen those Batman movies. I have that notion of how long ago it was, how different the culture, the environment on superheroes and superhero movies was. I liked seeing him. I just like Michael Keaton as an actor. But did I get that satisfaction the same way I got with the Spider-Man in No Way Home? Not even close. It does not compare. One was cool. The others were gratifying. They were fulfilling for the narrative. Because, again, without going into spoiler, yes, this is Michael Keaton. Yes, this is Michael Keaton playing Batman. It's not exactly the same Batman. It's just another version of this Batman that looks like Michael Keaton. Because, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but at one point I'm like, excuse me, Mr. Batman, how the fuck do you know so much about the multiverse? That's all I'll say. Zach?
I just took it as Bruce Wayne's fucking intelligent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But no, I agree with you on everything.
All right. But again, if you put this question like to Sean Chandler has immense nostalgia for this Michael Keaton version of Batman. So if you put it to him, he might say yes. It really depends on the nostalgia you have when it comes to the particular question, on the nostalgia you have for this Michael Keaton and the Spider-Man comparatively. I have no nostalgia for Michael Keaton as Batman, so to me, it was, nice. The Spider-Man, amazing. All right. Okay. Dominican Scott, question only for Ren. Can you think of your personal ranking of the Transformers films? I think I shared it on Letterboxd, but my number one is Bumblebee. My number two is the the first Michael Bay Transformers. I actually don't have it on Letterboxd, so thank you for asking, Dominican Scott. So Bumblebee, original Michael Bay Transformers, Rise of the Beasts, Transformers the movie 1986, then Age of Extinction, then Revenge of the Fallen, and then The Last Night.
What about Dark of the Moon?
Oh shit, you're right. Okay, so good shout. Thank you. Bumblebee, Michael Bay's first Transformers, Rise of the Beasts, Transformers 1986, Dark of the Moon, Age of Extinction, Revenge of the Fallen, and Last Night in last place because fuck that movie. That movie fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a video, correct?
Yes, I have a video.
Zach has a video. Eric Thorpe, do you think audiences shouldn't take the negative early reactions to Aquaman 2 as such bad signs since they clearly didn't agree totally with early reactions to The Flash? I will tell you the same thing I will always say to audiences when it comes to early reactions. Put that in your file cabinet, like, oh, people are not much enjoying this movie, it seems, or oh, people are really enjoying this movie, it seems. But my mind is made up whether I'm going to watch it or whether I'm not going to watch it. I don't think it's something that should sway people one way or the other. So don't put too much stock in early reactions, whether they're positive, whether they're negative. Zach?
I know someone who's seen Aquaman, so I can't
Oh,
really
okay.
say a lot, but they were pretty actually positive. But I will say what they saw was before the reshoots, was before all the changes,
Oh,
was
okay.
before James Gunn announced that he was restarting the
Mm-hmm.
DCEU. So take that as what you will. It seems like
All
that
right.
film is dealing with a lot of issues, and from what I've heard, the Flash's third act was actually supposed to be a lot different. That was where the reshoots were done because of the reboots, because of things like that. So who fucking knows?
By the way, speaking of the Flash, let's be completely open to our audience here. For those of you who follow this since we were doing Geeks of the Roundtable, you will maybe remember at one point Zach and I saying, even before they actually started shooting this movie, I believe, Zach and I saying we know the opening scene of the Flash.
Yeah, the
We were
baby.
talking about the baby scene.
Yeah,
We knew of the
I've known
baby
about that.
scene.
Yeah,
We knew about that for years. For years. It's insane that it actually happened.
I
And now
I
everyone can see it.
yeah, it's kind of weird, like knowing how early, like I know a lot about the Avatar sequels, and now that they're pushed back, I'm sitting here and I'm like, fuck, like I know so much about those films, and I'm like, I mean, a lot of it could probably change at this point because he makes like 9-hour cuts of every fucking movie, but it's just wild to me, and that's wild to me to how much we sat on that babies thing for.
Yeah. Uh, Andrew Seif, November has a lot of big movies coming out. How would you rank the following four based on your anticipation? Dune Part 2, The Marvels, Hunger Games, and Disney's Wish. Number one is easy for me. That's Dune Part 2. After that, I'm going right now Disney's Wish. If we're doing this before the trailer, the last two would flip around. But right now, I'm going to have the Hunger Games and then the Marvels. Because that trailer for Hunger Games, god damn, that's a good trailer.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
Excited for all
Dune.
of them, though.
I'm gonna do Dune Part 2. I'm gonna do Hunger Games. I'm gonna do the Marvels and then Disney Wish. I have now. I have not seen the trailer for Disney Wish, so I don't
Okay.
really know much about it. But I've seen all the others, and I do know someone who actually saw Disney Wish. They've done a lot of test screenings for that movie, like a lot.
Okay.
Like in Arizona, I think they've done like 15 already, like this year. It's kind of. I've
It's
never seen a film do that many. Not because it's bad. I think they're just trying to figure out how to market the movie. To be honest with you, I think that's what they're trying to do with that film.
it's strange to me the concept of doing test screenings for animated movies.
Oh, it's not done. Like I talked to one family out here, and they said that like maybe 30 minutes of the movie wasn't even like done, like at all,
Oof,
and you could
okay.
like totally tell. But all good reactions that I've heard. So I'm really excited for that short that's supposed to be before it.
All right. SPC Unleashed. The Flash was a huge surprise for me. Generally loved it. If they were to do a sequel, how should they set up for it? How do
Never.
we talk about this without true, they
How about we
shouldn't.
save this for next week? We can say like that question can be asked next week, and then we can go from there.
Okay, let me say a quick one. Just do not leave the question completely unanswered. Do an Earth 2 storyline
Yeah.
where Barry begins to be able to travel across the multiverses.
Yeah.
And he meets another Flash that is not Barry Allen. So it also feels smaller comparatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Thorpe, thoughts on Andy Muschietti directing Batman Brave of the Bold, and do you think he will also still direct the Flash sequel if it happens? It won't happen. No, he won't. Andy Muschietti directing Batman Brave of the Bold? I like it. all my issues with this film were script issues, very very script issues. Um, I just hope let's hope they keep Sasha Kaye as Supergirl. She was fucking awesome. She was a scene stealer. But Annie Muschietti for Batman Brave of the Bold. I wouldn't pick him if we were going to do a Matt Reeves type of Batman, a Christopher Nolan type of Batman. A Batman Brave and the Bold? Yeah. I like that. Zach?
I love it. I love it so much.
All right.
I think specifically seeing how he worked this film with two Flashes, I have a feeling we're going to see the whole Bat family, not just a Robin. I think whole Bat family in this movie. So, and plus, like, we look at his other films, like It, like he's really good with an ensemble cast. So, I'm down for it.
Next up, what do we have? Andrew Seif, I noticed that Warner Bros. Has 3 big movies coming out in December: Wonka, Aquaman 2, and The Color Purple. Do you think these movies should be more spread out, particularly Wonka and Color Purple, since they appeal to similar audience? I know they're both musicals, or at least Color Purple. I'm not sure if Wonka is a musical, but Color Purple is a heavy story, despite being a musical. At least this version. I don't think they necessarily appeal to the same audiences. Aquaman 2, yeah, but December, the Christmas movie season, is also the season where you can have a lot of similar movies. Going back a little bit to your earlier question about the Flash and Elemental and them clashing, and we went to all the nuances when it comes to the Flash specifically. Like, December is the season where you can have a lot of similar audience targeting movies, and they can all succeed. In fact, this last December showed us that that was possible. I think Shazam! Fury of the Gods would have done not much better because of how hard it flopped, but it would have done better if it came out in December like it was originally intended to.
They need the market. That Warner Brothers is not marketing these movies.
Yeah. No,
they marketed
no,
the
not.
Flash. They marketed the Flash. I'll give them credit on that, but they tried using celebrities to push that film a lot. And
true.
yeah. Honestly, I think a lot of people were wondering about this. None of these movies are getting pushed, and if one bombs, Warner Brothers at this point is like whatever, because they didn't make these movies while they owned them. This was the old regiment, and at this point, Aquaman 3 just has to come out. Like, so I think that's why if you really look at how the releases, it's Wonka,
Aquaman 2,
Color Purple. Oh, is it that way? Is Aquaman first? And then
no, but Wonka? You said Aquaman 3.
Oh, sorry, Aquaman 2. So what I think is going to happen, Wonka's going to be amazing.
It is Paul King.
Yeah, Aquaman's going to be And then Color Purple is going to be, oh my God. Like, amazing.
It's the musical of the Christmas.
Yes.
I mean, musicals always do good on Christmas. So. Divination Scott, Superman and Lois season 4 is greenlit, but the bad news is that most of the supporting cast are not going to appear. What are your thoughts? I didn't know that. I just saw that it was renewed for season 4.
It's like literally the only main cast is the kids and Superman and Lois, and then anyone else who's important to the story will make cameo appearances, like in one episode or it's only 10 episodes.
It's just the 4 of them. Oh, okay. Yeah, I still need to finish season 3. I'm like 3 episodes only into season 3, so I'm not too invested right now. Dominating Scott, which version of Justice League is considered canon? It's the 2017 version. Dominating Scott, thoughts on the Mortal Kombat 2 cat?
It's Zack Snyder. I thought Andy confirmed it was Snyder's cut for this version. Because they talk about when he time traveled, the reverse time in the film.
But he also does that in Justice League.
Does he? When does he do that in Justice League? I swear he never did that in Justice League.
Justice League.
I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't watched that cut in forever.
Wait, where's the plot? There you go. Clark Kent's body is. Wait, 'cause 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 ' I would have. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
it's
be able to
fine. I
find it
mean,
fast enough. Like I would have
I
to
could be
waste a lot
wrong.
of time.
All right,
Right, but for
everyone's
the
homework
DCU,
is to watch
it's
that
always
cut
been
and tell me.
it's always been 2017.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought this one they went with Zack Snyder. I don't know. Maybe
yeah.
I'm just wrong. Maybe
Doesn't matter. The universe is over anyway.
yeah.
Thoughts on Mortal Kombat 2 casting news? I only know one of the actors, and it's the guy who played Charles Manson in Mindhunter and in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's playing Quan Chi. But like all of them seem fitting for the roles. I'm just surprised we're hearing about all these villains before hearing about Johnny Cage. And
Well,
there's one of them
I thought
that I
Johnny
don't even
Cage
know
was
the name
out.
of.
Isn't it Carl Urban?
Well, it was rumored that he had been offered the role and they were
Oh,
interested in him, but it was
it
never
wasn't
like
confirmed yet.
official.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah. Luis Luciano, thoughts on the Jurassic Park 30th anniversary? How has the film impacted your life? Do you think the VFX still hold up? When do you think Universal will announce the next Jurassic trilogy? Hopefully never. So yeah, love Jurassic Park. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. It made me fall in love with dinosaurs. When I was a kid, all my toys were fucking dinosaurs. That's what I
Same.
wanted to play with.
Same.
And a big part of that is Jurassic Park, and it just gets better as you grow up. Like when you say, "Oh, you realize it's not really about the dinosaurs," like it sounds underwhelming. It sounds like an insult. No. The film is much better than that, than just being about dinosaurs. It would be cool if it was about dinosaurs. I like Jurassic World, the first one. It is all about dinosaurs. VFX still hold up. The mix of CGI with practical effects is amazing. So it's one of the greatest movies ever made, and rightfully so. A lot of people's number one movie of all time. It's the magic of movies. It's the magic of Steven Spielberg. Zach?
I love this. It's a classic. It's the best. It's one of the best movies. One of Spielberg's best films. When do we think Universal will announce? Probably in the next 5 years. They'll probably announce something new within this world. Be honest, I actually think they're gonna reboot the whole thing. But
who would you pick? Whether it is a reboot, whether it is a continuation, who would you pick? I have an
as a director,
mm-hmm.
I have one, but I don't think they would do it. I have
Go
Del
for it.
Toro. I want to see Del Toro do something with dinosaurs.
Nice. I go with Gareth Edwards.
That's a great pick. That is a fucking phenomenal pick. That is like
Thank you very much.
a phenomenal pick.
All right. Eric Thorpe, which 2023 PG-13 comic book movie do you think used their one-time F-bomb best?
Oh, both
Guardians
of them were good.
3 or The Flash?
Both of them were good. I liked both of them, but I'd say Guardians.
Guardians is the better movie. The F-bomb, I think, is better in The Flash.
The Flash's one is very like.
The Flash one is good.
It's the.
Well, who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
That
was really good. You know what?
And that's when the unfinished version cuts. That shot is that's the last moment of the unfinished version.
Do you know who is the what movie still has the best F word in a PG-13? I still think it's when they walk in and talk to Wolverine. He's like, "Fuck."
Oh yeah, 1,000%. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
100%. It's still that one. Lady Aaron, with Father's Day happening tomorrow, wrong. It happened in March. You guys celebrated way too late. I don't know why it's tomorrow. Celebrate Father's Day properly, you sons of bitches. All right. Do you guys have any plans with your dad? I don't, because my dad is back home. Zach, what do you got planned?
My dad's out of town, so he just literally left today.
So also nothing. All right. Luis Feliciano, no trailer or poster yet for Kraven the Hunter. Should we be worried?
Nope.
We should be worried, but that's completely unrelated to trailer or poster. It's only coming out in December. Like, isn't it? Is it or January?
It's like October, September. It got pushed back. It was January this year, and it got pushed.
Yeah, it's still early. Let the summer pass.
The trailer is done right now, and it's been done for a while. So I imagine we'll see it with Mission Impossible. I think.
Nice shout.
Or Indy,
but yeah, you should be worried just because it's Sony. But yeah, it's slightly early. Don't worry that we don't have those yet. GGOEP. Ren, I know you don't care about other people's reviews, so this one is more for Zach, but you can chime in. I watched Chris Tuckman's Indiana Jones review, and he brought up, I saw this clip on Twitter. He brought up how film criticism has now blended with film journalism. They're kind of one and the same. And how it has become less nuanced, especially looking some of the reviews within the 5 Secret Invasion, some of the Flash reviews that didn't like the movie based on Ezra's actions. Would you agree with him? 100%. Before Zach came in, before you came in, Nathan Madigan, or was it Andrew Seif? I want to shout out the right person. Wasn't this? Yeah, it was Nathan Madigan. We talked a little bit about this. I will briefly repeat like the point I want. I brought to the discussion where a lot of people right now are not interested in actually discussing film, in actually engaging with the material. They're interested in having their voices being heard. The most important things for these people is look at me, listen to what I have to say. They're not interested in the actual craft. They're not interested in engaging with the material. They're interested in being heard. So yeah, I talked about, again, I'm not going to shout this person out. I don't even remember their name, but Zach knows who this is because we've been discussing this person. There was a person on Twitter taking L's all week, from sharing a spoilery screenshot of The Flash on Monday before it ever came out to criticizing Secret Invasion, but by the parameters of the original comic instead of actually doing a review of the show itself, and then calling The Flash the worst superhero movie ever made when Morbius exists and Jonah Hex exists and the Venom movies. So yeah, I completely agree with him. Zach?
Nope, same. It's all the truth. Social media has ruined filmmaking as well, or films as well. So
yeah. Final question, because I really have to get prepared. Do you guys think the multiverse concept being basically everywhere between Marvel, DC, and outside those franchises means a franchise has run out of ideas and lacks any stakes when one of the characters died in the main universe, only for them to come back from a different universe, or a cheap way to bank on audiences' nostalgia? Nope.
I also don't think we've seen that fully happen yet. I'm just saying, like, I don't think yet. I think it's coming. I think we're definitely going to see it, but it also depends how they use it. Because if it's like a different actor, that's different, because that's like, oh, okay, so this person's playing a different version of this character. If it's the same actor, so say Iron Man appears in Secret Wars, I'm sure we're all guessing that's going to happen. It depends how they use it. It depends.
But does he stay around? That's the thing.
That's the other part. I think he will. I'm saying that. I think he does stay around. And but it also depends how. Oh, you don't? I do. I think he stays around. I think they're gonna bring back. I think it's like a total reset, like literally, like total reset on that stuff. So I don't know. I don't think it's. I think it's just we haven't seen it happen yet. I think this is just people's worries. I did hear something, but I can't share it publicly about something because it might be a spoiler for a film coming up. But
he will tell me when the show is over.
Do you want me to? I don't know if you want to know. I don't know if you want to know. Maybe
you'll give me like the
I'll give
context,
you a hint,
and I'll say what
I'll give you a hint, and then okay.
I very much what Zach said, like the way you put it, cheap way to bank on audiences' nostalgia or lacking any stakes. That's all about how you use it, because the idea in and of itself of multiverse, that's limitless potential for what you can do, for what you can accomplish. If it lacks any stakes, if it's cheap, and if it entirely banks on people's nostalgia, that's the way in which you use it. That's not a fault with the concept. That's a fault with the execution. So I don't think the problem is inherently to the idea of having multiverse stories. It's inherent to the use of that concept and how you pull it off. So yeah, there's one more question. Diminishing Scott, what are some controversial DC movies that you like to defend? I don't know what DC movies are controversial.
Every single one of them.
Yeah, apparently. I guess I will watch the 2017 version of Justice League before watching Suicide Squad. So I think it's perfectly watchable. It's a butchering, but it's perfectly watchable. So I guess that's the one. But I don't know what else is controversial these days. What else is not controversial these days?
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again. Next week we cannot have a show because I'm working. Maybe 2 weeks from now. Obviously, I will update you as we go along. Um, Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Zach for joining us, even if for just a little bit. Thank you for all your amazing questions. Today was great for discussing what we do, what's going on the bigger, wider scope of film criticism. And now the Flash is out. So now, next time we do have a show, talking free spoilers, and Zach and I can talk about all the things that we knew before even watching the movie, besides the babies. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this week. I got Secret Invasion. I got a video essay on the Flash that has to do with Superman. And that's it. I think that's it, because nothing else big. I mean, I might have a No Hard Feelings review, depending on when I get to watch it. So thank you so much for watching once more. We'll see you next time. And until the next one, love each other and love the movies. Bye-bye.